Hello, hello, and welcome back to another live stream where we're going to be talking about how to plan your client onboarding and automate it, hopefully, so your life becomes a little less stressful. Now, I obviously couldn't do this kind of presentation on my own, so I've invited a special guest, Christine, onto the channel. Hi, Christine.
Hey, how's it going?
Is going well. I'm really excited to talk. I hope you are as excited as we are here, and I know some folks in the chat are already putting some questions in for you. It's going well. I'm really excited to talk. I hope you are.
Woo, yes. I don't know what's happening.
We're looping. There we are.
Do you know why it's echoing?
I'm going to mute you just momentarily, Christine. I think it's probably because YouTube is open in another browser.
Oh, shoot, let me find it.
No worries at all. I'm going to kick Christine out momentarily. For those of you who are joining us live in the chat, I would love for you to help kick off this presentation because I see a bunch of you are already here, and say hello in the chat. And let us know what kind of onboarding experience you currently have. Because I don't know about Christine, but I feel like that helps me kind of get a sense of what to talk about during the day, just to kind of get some real use cases and examples. So use the chat, type that in, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and Christine's back.
I got put in the naughty corner. I'm sorry.
I didn't want to loop it because I figured it would get kind of crazy sounding. So
I'm sorry. I didn't realize I had it open. I was like, oh no, I did something wrong. Okay.
No big deal. So Christine, kind of where do you want to take us today? Would you like to take over and just start presenting? Is there anything that you need from the audience to get started?
Yeah, guys, tell me what your number one pain point is with client onboarding in the chat. I really want to know. And you'll have a chance to ask questions at the end. I think I allotted like half an hour for questions. If that's too much, just let me know. But we'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. But I want to know what your number one pain point is with client onboarding.
Okay, number one pain point. I'm going to pull up your screen here, Christine, and then I will pop off and let you take it away.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for having me today. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here on your channel, Layla. Layla and I met, gosh, I don't think it was in December. And I was following her religiously on ClickUp. And I'm like, oh my God, she's like me, but like on the ClickUp side. And I was like, I know we're going to be friends someday. This is going to be awesome. And I was nerding out on her channel, and I was like, man, I wonder if this is like what people think about me when they're looking at my videos. But yeah, she does a great job. So I'm really, really stoked to be here, guys. And I'm going to teach you how to plan your client onboarding process and how to automate it. Okay. And I want you to be able to spend more time with your friends and your family so that you can relax and focus on that, or focus on sales, focus on growing your business. I want to teach you guys like everything we've learned in our journey, helping agency owners or coaches or content creators just like you to build custom automation systems for end clients. We've worked with hundreds of agency owners, and we've seen like the most common threads on what works, what doesn't work. We've done hundreds of split tests, spent thousands of hours working our butts off. Okay, so just to kind of give you like a little peek at some of the stuff that we've done with other in other groups. We had an onboarding masterclass in Jeff Miller's Facebook group. There's like 55,000 people in there, and we taught over 140 people in a masterclass just like this one on how to automate their onboarding so they can get their life back. All right. But first I want to take like a little trip down memory lane and talk about my very first onboarding process in a little bit. But do you guys remember like when you had, maybe you're in this right now. Okay. Maybe you had to onboard a client, you made a sale, you were so excited, and you had to use like 200 tools just to onboard your clients. Well, I'm going to tell you about my first client onboarding experience in a minute, but like, it was super stressful. Okay. I remember like being worried that they were going to fire me before we even started. And let's just be real about being an agency owner and working the weekend. Okay. I can't tell you guys how many times that I've spent working the weekend And it got to the point where like my friends and family were like, hey, am I going to get to see you soon? It was ridiculous. So if you feel me on that, let me know in the chat. Okay. But here's how the process may work now, or for me, this is how it used to work. Okay. So one, we'd send an invoice to the lead. We'd wait for the lead to pay. So we call that the hope and pray they pay. All right. And then as soon as they pay, we send different emails asking a million questions. Oh, like I forgot to ask this. I forgot to ask this. Be kind of like if you went to the dentist and they said, hey, you need a root canal. And you ask them a question and you're like, and they're like, let me go check. And then they come back and then you ask them another question. Like, let me go check. And then they come back. You're like, I don't want you drilling my teeth. Right. And then 2 weeks later, the lead gets second thoughts. They're thinking, okay, we're still not live yet. Maybe I need to ask for a refund. And then a week later after that, their campaign's not launched yet and they ask for a refund. Now, I hope you guys have never had this happen, but I have a feeling that some of you have. And it's unfortunate, but that's why I'm so passionate about doing what I do, okay? Because the cold hard truth is you really have 48 hours until buyer's remorse sets in. And if you're like this guy, you're going to be sad that you haven't onboarded your clients in 48 hours, okay? But this is how it should work. So their first interaction with your business should be a wow-like experience, okay? Like as soon as that client signs, you can get on your next sales call, you can grow your business, or you can go to dinner with your family or spend time doing what you love on the weekends, all right? But as soon as they swipe their card, all of your checklists, SOPs, walkthroughs, facts, they're automatically delivered to your team. And importantly, your new client knows what's going on and when to expect a go live date, okay? So ideally, as soon as you close that new deal, your clients are going to experience this, okay? Because selling is what grows businesses. And I can't stress this enough. We've seen this time and time again where the agency owner, the coach is like stuck in client onboarding, like it's a hamster wheel and they can't get off of it and they can't expand and they can't scale and grow their businesses, okay? And if you stay until the end, we're going to do a Q&A, but I'm also going to give you guys our onboarding form that works in any niche. And this onboarding form I'm going to talk about in a little bit is going to kick off everything for you and make it seamless. All right. Now, just real quick, I want you guys to know, I know it's not your fault. All right. That's why I'm here. That's why Layla's here. We know tech is hard. Okay. Tech is extremely hard and it can be very difficult to learn. All right. But you guys can put those fears to rest. Okay. Because your clients don't own you, and I'm going to show you how to get off that hamster wheel, all right? And I know you've been wronged by maybe like a guru or like I call it like a snapshot peddler, like someone who you know just wants to make a quick buck, and you know, I'm going to show you how to get past that, all right? So let's get rid of that. Let's go, okay? All right, so how many of you guys have thought this? How am I supposed to onboard clients without spending hours per week doing it manually or paying a VA to mess it up for me? Oh, did I put F it up for me? Ooh, oops, sorry. Okay, I'm not gonna cuss, sorry. Layla's laughing at me. Or where's the client getting buyer's remorse and asking for refund because I didn't do it fast enough? That sucks. I've had that happen before, okay? How do I get my agency on autopilot so I can spend more time doing what I love without slaving away at my desk 24/7? Slaving away. Yes, I put that in there because that's how I felt. And I know that some of you guys feel that way too. All right. And then I wish I had an onboarding roadmap that the big agencies use. I got good news for you. We've worked with some pretty big agencies, over 100K a month. And I'm going to show you the behind the scenes of how they got that big. All right. And maybe you wonder if this is what's keeping you from that next big milestone that you yourself are striving for in your business. Okay. But what if every time you hopped on a call with a prospect, that was the first human interaction they're having with your business? Wouldn't that be awesome? Then you could wow them and validate your marketing expertise. every time you hop on a call, you're going to be present with full confidence, knowing you can take care of them quickly. All right. And as soon as you close a new deal, your clients will experience a seamless onboarding process. I keep talking about the seamless onboarding process. It's so important because this is their first impression of you as their new marketing agency or their coach, and it needs to be done right. Okay. Now, I talked about this a second ago, but Josh and Jeff are over 300K a month, and they're using the same systems that we are teaching right now. We implemented their systems, and they are totally crushing it working with doctors in the cool sculpting niche. So they're doing awesome. Okay. And this was like the key differentiator between being stuck at 10K a month to scaling to literally to the moon. Okay. Sorry for the Reddit reference, but to the moon. Okay. But just a little bit about me. I am a mom. I have 2 boys. They're 3 and 17. And yes, there's a 14-year difference in my sons, but oh my gosh, they love each other so much. It's so cute. I am an IT nerd. I've been in IT for over 20 years. And like professionally in my professional career, I remember when I was little, like sitting on my dad's lap, he would teach me like the old school FTP and how to code. He's a software engineer. So I've been doing IT for a very long time. Okay. I worked for several Fortune 500 companies, including Coleman, which is owned by Newell Brands now, and Spirit Aerosystems. If you guys have worked for corporate, you probably know what SAP is. That was my baby for a long time. I managed the entire SAP team. It was a very, very high, fast-paced, stressful job, okay? And then when my youngest son was born, who's now 3, I left my 6-figure job to start an agency. Any corporate refugees here? Exactly, okay? It was 3 years ago when I quit my job. I can't believe how fast time has gone since then. I mean, I worked that job for 3 years, so it's been as long since I left as I worked there. Okay, it's crazy. But I decided to start in the med spa niche. I closed deals like a boss, and then I felt a huge sense of overwhelm, which I'm going to get to soon. All right. But now I literally feel free. Okay. Pardon my my picture there. I'm at the range, okay, practicing my aim. For my haters, no, just kidding. But I love to go shooting. I love gardening. I never could do those things because I felt like a slave to my business. And then I heard about this little tool called GoHighLevel. I became one of their partners, and I feel like I'm living my dream now. YouTube is how I found Layla, and I'm super excited to have this opportunity, guys. I feel like I said, I feel like I'm living my dream now. Okay. I felt like a slave at my desk. Like I was always doing someone else's bidding. I was always working for someone else. And now I get to do what I love, helping people with their tech. And I'm so blessed. Okay. So now we're going to get started. I just wanted to give you guys a little background about me. I love this movie, by the way. It's super funny, but anyway, it's time to party. Okay. So I hope you guys are ready. So we talked a little bit about, Layla kind of teased you guys and said that I was going to teach you guys 3 secrets today. So the first one is using the P.L.A.Y method. We went from spending countless hours on onboarding and custom builds to 0. And I'm going to teach you guys this here right now. So the first step is plug in your agency on autopilot. Create an automated system to nurture, convert your leads coming from every entry point that the leads funnel in, which allows you to take a step back and focus on the real growth drivers of your business. Okay. Second one is leverage. Leverage your systems, teams, and processes. We've done all the R&D, so you don't have to think about it. And our blueprint is your blueprint. Okay. So snag it if you want, steal it if you want. Okay. Go ahead and use it. Automate your agency. This is key. Without the proper automations in place, it's extremely difficult to scale, which I've been saying this whole time, okay? Set up your agency sales pipeline. So all that you need to do is you show up. And here's where you come in as the hero. Get appointments with your dream clients delivered to you on a demo call. All you have to do is show up and do what you do best, which is sell, okay? Now I'm going to teach you guys the automation part, but this is how automation fits in with our entire business model, okay? Now, I promised you guys I was going to teach you my first, I was going to tell you about my first client onboarding experience, okay? This is what it felt like. It was horrible, all right? It was so stressful. I signed my first client like right before Christmas. And this was in, oh God, what year is it? It's 2021. That was in 2018, all right? I signed my first client. And I spent the entire Christmas break onboarding my client. My family and I went on vacation to see family, and I was like literally hiding in the closet trying to onboard my client the entire time. Okay. I felt super guilty about it, but I figured it out and I did it. And yes, I had like 200 tools to use. Okay. But then I was like so proud of myself when I finally got it done. I think it took me 5 hours, at least 5 hours of like continuous work. But then the next week I signed 3 more clients. And guys, I kind of felt like this, okay? Felt like my head was literally going to explode, and it was horrible. But then I found an awesome new hack, and it completely changed my business, okay? And I can't wait to tell you guys about it, all right? And again, to reiterate, if you're just now joining, I'm going to teach you how to automate 99% of your biz, all right? So the first thing people ask me is, what should I automate? They get really, really excited. And they're like, okay, let's go. I want to automate everything. Like, you know, if I have a 3 packages and I sell one like 90% of the time and the other 2 like 10% of the time, I'm going to automate everything. No, okay. Automate something that's repeatable and proven. Okay. So if you have the 3 packages and you sell one 90% of the time, you should automate that journey and not even worry about the others right now. Okay. Because the thing that happens is, each one is treated like a completely different client journey, and you shouldn't try to automate your entire thing because you're going to get overwhelmed, you're going to lose track, you're going to give up or get completely discouraged. So just choose the most popular package that you have that's proven, okay? And then when should I automate? When is a good time? Well, a good time is after you've already completed your agency roadmap, which I'm going to talk about here in a second, and you've mapped out your products and services, okay? So if you're just starting and you don't have packages and you don't know what you're going to offer, it's not a good time to automate. You've got to get your ducks in a row before you can automate anything, okay? Trust me, because you don't want to have to redo it later. It's really stressful. I've done that the hard way, okay? So again, I told you guys I was going to talk about the roadmap. That's secret 2. Make sure you roadmap your process, okay? Because roadmap is going to give you clarity. It's going to give you clarity of everything from lead gen, acquisition, payment, ongoing retention. So instead of building your funnel blindly, you're going to have a clear roadmap and have a clear vision on what comes next. And I know Layla talks about this a lot in her videos. She talks about having a roadmap. She's got those cool diagrams and everything. Those are awesome because you guys are going to save so much time by doing this ahead of time. And I know if you already follow Layla, you're going to be a pro at that, okay? Just talk a little bit about tools that I use for my own roadmaps. Google Drawings is free. If you like to save money on your recurring software, Google Drawings is the way to go, okay? I've also used Funnelytics. It used to be a little better. Now they want to charge for pretty much everything. And then Giru is another tool. Or you can use what Layla uses for her roadmaps. That would work as well, okay? I forgot the name of it. Sorry.
Whimsical. You're good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I need to check that one out because that one looks pretty sick, okay? Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the different segments of the roadmap, okay? So first, the sales pipeline. This is the first segment, and then I'm going to show you each one separately and then how it all works together, okay? So for the sales pipeline, you're going to have your entry points first, okay? You're going to have every place that your leads come in. Is it organic? Is it paid ads? How are they finding you, okay? then you're going to ideally have an opt-in. So you're going to collect their information. You're going to get their name, email, and phone number, and get them to book a time with you. So you're going to present them a calendar. A lot of you probably use Calendly right now, which is fine. That works. But then the follow-up, the fortune is in the follow-up. How many of you guys have heard that? Okay. You're going to want to follow up with them, give them appointment reminders, get them hyped up for the appointment with you. And I can't tell you guys like how important this is. That's one of my frustrations with Calendly is like, they set up an appointment with you and then they get an email that's like super boring that says, hey, like hop on the Zoom link. But why should they get on the call with you? Okay. We've worked with so many agencies that have a huge show up problem. They have really low show up rates and they're like, what can I do to get these people to show up to the demo? Like, how do I improve, how do I improve my show up rate? And I'm going to tell you, like, that's the follow-up piece. You're going to want to put testimonials. You're going to want to put social proof in that follow-up. Okay. You're going to want to do that because that's going to get them excited. So the best ones that I've seen have been our clients who work with the cool sculpting niche. Okay. They do a really good job at sending in their follow-up sequence, like testimonials, like, hey, this Dr. Strange made, $20,000 in his first week. Okay. That's really, really, really important. And then after they show up to the demo and they decide they want to pay you, okay, what happens after they pay you? Well, a lot of times it's a very manual thing. Okay, you're sitting at the computer, you're like, please pay me, please pay me, please pay me. And then they pay you, and then you're like, okay, well, and then you start sending them this big long email that they have to answer questions, right? Well, this eliminates that whole awkward process because ideally, when they pay you, they're automatically going to get an intake form that's going to ask them every question that you need to start and set up their accounts, okay? It's going to give them instructions how to use the system, videos, maybe even like a client academy. But then it's also going to tell your team immediately. Your team is going to get a notification that you have a new client and they need to follow the SOPs. Now, we use a combination of Slack and ClickUp for our SOPs and our work instructions for our team, okay? And I can show you that. I don't have it in the deck, but if enough of you guys want to see how we use ClickUp, I'll show you. That's actually, like I said, how I found Layla is we got into ClickUp. We started using it for our systems, our SOPs, and our automations, and I started following Layla. So if you guys want to see that, let me know in the questions, okay? And then your team can kick off the build process. And then the third piece is client retention. A lot of people forget this, but the first 60 days are the most important as far as client retention, okay? Month 1, super volatile. Month 2, thinking about leaving you, okay? Just to be real, that's how they think about it. And if you can figure this out, you can actually automate part of the process so that you don't have to set these reminders and have 50 reminders in your calendar to follow up with 50 different clients. It gets hectic, okay? So I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. But ideally, you would have a check-in point, let's say 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, 30 days. You're going to check in with them every week. You're going to check in with them midway. You're going to ask them how it's going. And again, you can automate this all. And then you can send them your calendar link to book so that you can talk to them. You can give them an overview of their campaigns. You can show them what's working, what's not working, what needs to change. But also at the 2-3 month mark, if they're still with you, you can upsell them into a bigger package. Okay. You can cross-sell them other packages and make more money. You can make more money in your agency. Okay. So this is how it all works together. And ideally, you're going to be able to focus on this area. I don't know if you can see my mouse. I think you can. This area here from demo to paying, to demo to paying, to demo to paying. You can focus on this and everything else is automated. I'm going to take a breath for a second because I got to get a cough drop. I'm starting to lose my voice.
I was about to say, you're on a roll, man. Do you have a time to be interrupted with a question here?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think this one is pretty relevant here.
Okay.
Because I think looking at this chart, this is what a lot of people are going to be wondering is automation and high-end agency or high-end service of any kind. It seems like it's like oil and water. So how do you balance that?
Yeah. Okay. So how does it work with high-ticket consulting, not high volume, but needs to look concierge-ish? Yeah. That's a great question, Tracy. So it's going to be, here's what you can do. In your automations, you want to make it sound human, right? Obviously. Hey, it's Tracy. We just hit the 3-month mark together and I'm so excited. I love having you as a client. And hey, like I wanted to let you know about this new program we're launching. It's our VIP program. Okay. And you're now eligible for our VIP program. If you want to hear more about it, book a call with me here. So ideally, you're using a combination of the automations and like the emails, text follow-up to get them to book a call with you. Okay. So then during the call, you can talk to them more about it. It's more personal. Okay. And I think that that's one of the pieces that we've seen that's missing because you get busy, right? You're always busy. You're always on the go. You're always trying to find new clients. And the old ones kind of drop by the wayside sometimes. But if you just automate, just not overdo it, right? But if you schedule an email to go out, let's say a week or two after the campaign's launched, hey, I'm just checking in. How's everything going, right? Like make it sound real, like a real person. And it is real, but it's also automated. And then get them on a call with you. Does that help? It makes sense.
Yeah, thanks for letting us jump in. I just feel like a lot of people are probably asking that same question. And I also want to say what Christine's talking about here, it doesn't, like half of the battle is just figuring it out. Like, even if it's just figuring out your workflow, I think that's kind of a piece of it. You can figure it out and then automate pieces at a time. It's not like this overnight thing. So
no, it's not at all. Yeah. But that's definitely something that you can do, just let them know you're thinking about them, right? Something else I like to do is in my onboarding automations, after they fill out the onboarding form, I like to send them a handwritten thank you card. And no, I'm not writing it. Okay. There's a service where they have robots who write the cards out and send them to your clients. So stuff like that with a little personal touch, you can even put a little gift card in there. You can put a Target or a Starbucks gift card in there. Stuff like that, it really wows people and they're like, oh my God, like this is so cool. And they may even know it's a robot. They might not know it's a robot. I mean, you can't tell from looking at it that it is, but it's just a nice little touch. So here's, those are too small to see, sorry. But some examples of like how fancy or complicated you want to get with your diagrams, okay? And then Secret 3 is the onboarding form, all right? I talked about that, I teased it, but this is the most important thing, the key, if you will. I couldn't find a better GIF for key. That's probably a horrible key, but the key, all right, is this onboarding form that's gonna, guess what? Kick off all your automations, okay? And I'm gonna give you guys the onboarding form at the end. I promised I was gonna do that. I'm gonna give you instructions for that as soon as we wrap up the slides, but the onboarding form is the most important thing. Once you get your products and services mapped out, you're going to sit down and you're going to think about what information do I need? Everything. Okay. Office hours, services, prices, address, phone number, everything. Okay. You're going to want to put that in the onboarding form. And here's a little example of one of our super agency zaps, okay? But basically, once the onboarding form is filled out, we do everything. We create folders in Google Drive, we create Google Sheets, we send messages to our team in Slack, we create ClickUp spaces, we put the birthdays on our calendar. Okay, we do everything with this. And the cool thing is when you leverage automation for client onboarding, you don't have to waste time manually figuring out. You can hop on the next sales call and grow. Okay. I talked a little bit about like the best client follow-up sequence I've ever seen to get them to show up to a demo. These guys are amazing. Okay. Nick and Brett, they run Patient Rhino and they're over 200K a month now. And they're doing amazing. But the big differentiator for them was systems and putting those results in social proof to make clients have FOMO in the appointment confirmations. Okay. And then Rick James, he is also crushing it. He just onboarded his 47th client. So systems make all the difference. Okay, guys, there's so much more you can do though. Okay. And I needed to make this like half an hour so I can have half an hour for Q&A. It's way too much for us to squeeze in and expect all you guys to do this in one sitting. Okay. But if it's cool, like I want to tell you guys about our program that we put together. Is that okay, Layla? Or should I do Q&A first and then tell them about the program?
Feel free to give them the rundown and then let's do Q&A and it'll probably feed into that.
Okay, awesome. But anyway, put together a program. And honestly, like it's to put everything together and help you to master this. Okay. So we talked about the P.L.A.Y method. We talked about the agency roadmap. And then we talked about the onboarding form. So I told you guys how to do all this. And do you guys think that you could be successful doing this on your own? And a lot of people are, like, no problem. But you might be feeling like this right now. Like you're getting the fire hose, okay? And that's totally normal. That's totally normal. But that's why I'm here. That's why Layla's here to help you to figure it out, okay? So I created what I call the Pro Academy, and it's going to include the full course on everything I just talked about, but step-by-step video instruction modules, 27 modules. Also, though, how another course on I'm losing my voice. 24 modules on how to use the tools that we use, how to choose the right software, our SOP library. Okay, I'm going to show you that in a second. But Jerry he's one of my favorite people in the world. Okay, he saved 20 hours in just the first week. So this is designed to help you get past your overwhelm with tech and to save you time so you can focus on growing. All right. So the courses that you're going to get, we're going to talk about everything from the roadmap that we talked about today to setting up your integrations, to white labeling your own software. I'm going to show you guys how we use ClickUp, how to get leads to show up. Okay, so that's the FOMO piece I was talking about, how to onboard your full automation, how to create a branded calendar that looks professional, how to send those handwritten birthday cards or handwritten thank you cards automatically. Okay, how to automate your client retention. Then so much more. Okay, I'm losing my voice. Okay, I'm losing my voice. I knew it was going to go, but I want to ask you guys, like, how much is your time worth to you? Because I want to challenge you to never work another weekend again. Okay, unless you actually want to. When I started, guys, I was working every weekend. My husband, who is the most chill, laid back person on the planet, he said, "Hey, babe, when are we going to get to see you again? Like, you're working a lot and I appreciate you're working hard, but like, can we go to the zoo on Saturday? You know, can we like have dinner together?" And I felt so bad. I felt so guilty because I was always doing this stuff manually and I was like a slave to my computer. Okay. So if you guys want to know more about that, I can put a link in the chat. Let me find it real quick.
Awesome. Well, I'll let you do that and I'll queue it up for any questions because I know there's 2 that already started. And I think, Christine, you deserve a drink of water.
Yeah, thank you. Oh my
I know
God.
how those go. So we have 2 questions already in the chat. I think maybe 3 or 4 if I scroll back up. If you guys have questions about planning, automating your onboarding experience, and I know we talked a lot about agencies today. I wanted to clarify that this applies across the board.
Yeah.
Any services, period. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about that in the chat, please do put it in because I think we have some time to take some questions, right, Christine?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
And the link there.
Yeah, and this link, guys, this is a little chat bot because I was trying to figure out a good way to give you guys the freebie, but also send you the link if you're interested in joining our program. But go to the link here, go.nerdlevel.io. It's a little chat bot. It's going to give you the link to the onboarding form, which is in our free Facebook group. And you're going to get the onboarding form. Step 1, join the group. Step 2, get the onboarding form. And step 3, if you're interested in the program, click the 3rd link. So I tried to make it easy, and like I put it in little steps. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. So the bottom link here is like the link to join if you're interested in that. Okay, I'll put that back up.
Awesome. So let me just queue up some questions for you, Christine. I know the first one is this one that came in right before we started this morning. How do you feel about this one? Do you feel that you can dig in, or is that kind of like a big question?
Yeah. I mean,
so GHL is referring to GoHighLevel for any folks not using that CRM.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a great question, Tracy. I feel like it would take me a long time to show you right now how to do it. But basically what we do is we use an onboarding form, which again, you can get by going to that link to kick off our onboarding. We execute what's called a webhook. Okay. So we put the webhook in to the trigger in HighLevel so that when that onboarding form is submitted, it executes a webhook. Okay. And then in Zapier, we're catching the webhook and we're creating that new ClickUp space from a template.
And this could go for any CRM. I'll also say some people I know use Honeybook, Dubsado. You can set up something very similar with any of them.
Yeah, exactly. As long as they support webhooks, you're good to go.
Yeah. So I think and I think that also goes back to having a really good starting base before you automate it. Because if you have a crappy client template, having it being automatically created every time someone signs up is going to cause way more harm than good.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why you got to get those questions in place first and make sure they're proven.
Yeah. This is a question. Well, this isn't really a question from Jill. This is a reflection, I think, on some of the challenges of onboarding. I'm wondering if you have any advice for Jill to kind of keep track of onboarding processes when your process isn't proven yet. That's what it sounds like here.
Yeah, we see that a lot. And I would say that like really automating it is so versatile. You can really automate pretty much anything. So I would say choose the path of least resistance for you. What works best for you? Let's say you're on a sales call, you're in a rush to get to the next call. What's going to be the fastest way for you to kick that off without any pain on your part or their part, right? So for us, we have it tied into Stripe. Okay. And then we have filters set in Zapier. So the second they pay the Stripe invoice, okay, then, and it catches that filter if you have more than one product. I don't want to get too in the weeds, but if you have more than one product, you filter in Zapier, and then like it sends them, it kicks off everything from that. So if you're using HighLevel, we use pipelines. We use pipeline stages. We literally just drag the card over, and that sends them the invoice. Once they pay the invoice, it kicks everything off. So you can try to make it seamless for yourself, girl. Okay.
And it's okay if it changes, right? I mean, the less you automate, the less you have to go back and undo. But there's a certain beauty and it's going to change.
It will.
It's going to change.
It's part of growing a business.
This is also a non-question question, but delegation we haven't talked a lot about. You mentioned that you have kind of SOPs that go out to your team once someone's signed on. Could you explain a little bit more about how to involve people in that? Because I see a lot of people struggle where they are on the sales call and they're like, oh, this client's perfect. The automation's happening in the background with no specifics. And then their team just kind of gets maybe a generic alert, but they're not really able to help without more direction. How do you kind of smooth that transition over?
Oh, ClickUp, 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 ClickUp. 100%. I can't stress that enough. Like, uh-oh, now they want to see it. Oh shoot. Okay, let me pull it up.
I'll give you a second to pull it up because I know that's always sharing your ClickUp can be a very time-consuming process because it's always like, well, let me filter out this, that, and the other. So, and it looks like Jessica has a similar question to Tracy earlier, talking about integrating GoHighLevel and ClickUp.
Yeah.
I'll answer this a bit while you get that open and just give the basic information because, but anyway, GoHighLevel forms to ClickUp for onboarding. ClickUp forms are so basic. They're so basic and they can't be mapped natively to existing tasks. And ClickUp forms cannot create whole containers natively. So you'd have to use something outside anyway. So for that reason, I am with Christine on this one, where if you need a more involved setup, I would probably use an outside tool. Let's just add this in.
Yeah. All right. So just to kind of show you guys how we onboard clients, okay? In the Zap, like I said, you're using a webhook, you're cloning your template. So this is the template, okay? I don't show this very often because I'm super sensitive about my templates. It's like super secret. So you guys are getting a treat today. But I've got so each client gets their own folder, right? Mm-hmm. And then each employee gets assigned to each task. So I have different phases, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Okay. So these are lists. And then each list has its own set of tasks underneath. Okay. But then we also put our instructions, our SOPs inside of here as well. And we use the linking, what do you call a subtask? Like you link mentions. Okay. Yeah. See, I don't even know what it's called.
I know it's like the lingo. They make up their own terms for everything. So I call them tags half the time. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So we have mentions for our other SOPs that change frequently because we don't want to have to update our template every time something changes in the tool. So we have these mentions to our actual SOP library if we think that it's something that's going to change a lot, if that makes sense. But we're even putting instructions for the project manager, like each build takes 2 weeks. And this was when we were doing like custom builds, like in high level for people. Okay. So for you, if you have an agency or coaching program, like, you could shoot for less than a week, however fast you think you can get it done. But this was actually like a custom one-on-one, like done for you project. That's why it says 2 weeks here. Again, you can fully customize this for your own business. We also have instructions how to set up, how to integrate Twilio, Mailgun. Then these are little mentions again. So you can click into it and you can see like the full instructions here, how to set up Twilio, right?
And you have some tutorials on that, don't you? I feel like I saw them on your channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a bunch of videos on my channel, how to do anything in high level that you want to do.
Very similar to what we have here, except geared towards a different software.
Right. Yeah. But you can assign them. You can, your team can say it's in progress, waiting, needs fixed, done, complete, right? So if I wanted to pull up a client folder, I'd be able to see the full status of what's been done and what hasn't been done. And then the project manager fills in these due dates according to the instructions.
Nice.
Does that help?
I don't know. Chat, let us know. Does that help?
I hope so.
I'll see what people think. They might have some questions. I noticed Rose commented that she also does the linking SOPs. So agree, especially with ClickUp updating every week. I think what's interesting is even in your template, you don't use a lot of automations, which I want to highlight here as a smart move, because I feel like so often we're talking about automations and we're like, let's automate everything. But there's no automating there's certain pieces that need the human touch. And I feel like you identify that in your template, even that timelines and certain things, like they need to be, there needs to be human oversight.
Yes, absolutely. And you've got to get granular with your instructions. That's the other thing. Like, I mean, these took, oh God, probably a solid 3 months of me like sitting down with my VAs. And like basically what I did was I asked my VAs that were doing the setup to write their instructions of how they understood it. And I reviewed it and I'm like, okay, here we have some gaps. Okay. And then, so we fixed the gaps, filled in the gaps. And then I also documented what I was doing. I literally sat down like, oh my God, like every single day to do this. I had to dump my entire brain into ClickUp. And because everything was up here, right? And you can't scale a business if everything is up in your head. So
yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah, just to be real with you guys, if you want to do it right, it takes time. You've got to do the work. But I'll tell you what, like, it's amazing to not have to have the business rely on me 24/7. I mean, oh my gosh, I can't. It was totally worth it.
And I'm just going to shamelessly plug. If anyone watching is feeling overwhelmed by that piece, that's what my membership's about. So this is the yin and yang what we have going on here. Yeah. Like we help people identify what those processes are and step-by-step work on them so you don't have to feel quite so overwhelmed. Just because I think oftentimes people see this and they're like, am I supposed to spend the next 3 months of my life doing this and not onboarding any clients? And that's not the answer either, right? Like there's a process to get to the processes, if it makes sense.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, yeah, just to shamelessly plug. I know some of you guys are members in the chat here, but still. Any other questions before we go? I'm looking in the chat. There's not too much new coming in. Anything else that you'd like to share, Christine? Or are you feeling like you're like, yeah, this is the meat and potatoes?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to learn high level or the A to Z automation stuff, go check out go.nerdlevel.io. If you're kind of on the fence and you're not sure about it, go check out my channel, GoHighLevel Queen, because I have a ton of free content, just like Layla, okay? A ton of free content to like reel you in, okay? Like if you're the DIYer and you want to do everything yourself, go check out my channel.
Yeah, do it. And links are in the bio for all of that, so you can jump right over. And you can help both of us out by liking this video right now. If you're enjoying it, if you're still watching it, you're still awake, you've got some value up today, give this a like, drop a comment to say hi. And you can also come hang out with me on Facebook. So if you're not so much a YouTuber, you can hang out with me on Facebook as well. So that way you can get more of this content. I know some of you are watching from YouTube or from Facebook. So either way. Well, thank you so much, Christine, for coming on today. I don't think we have any other new questions in the chat. So I think we've tackled everyone's challenges for today. And yeah, I can't wait to do this again.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. It was so much fun. And I can't wait to have you over in our group and let you share some of your knowledge with our fam. So thank you again very much.
All right. See you guys. And actually, that's a good plug. Christine totally corrected me. Look out in the chat, the pinned comment for this YouTube video and in Facebook, rather. I'll put the link to the collab we're doing over at your Facebook group next week. So,
yes.
Sorry, I forgot to mention that. All right. See you guys.
Bye.